Alright, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here, of course, for JoJos.
Yes.
Bizarre Adventure.
That's right. Episode 9.
Episode 9.
The one after...
Episode 8.
Episode 8.
Alright, so in this episode, Dio has fallen!
He's
or
dead.
has he?
He's been killed, but he might not be dead.
And he might have fallen, but he might not have fallen.
Right.
Yeah. So with Dio being ousted from his castle and falling down a cliff of endless height to the abyss.
Right.
Is there any hope that Dio is actually going to be dead forever? Because I think there's like no way.
I'd say there's about a 2, maybe 3% chance.
I'd say there's approximately 3,720 to 1 odds that Dio is going to navigate his way unsuccessfully to the bottom of this cliff.
Oh boy.
Yeah. With that being said,
yes,
it will be interesting to see where the story takes a turn based on our previous bit of discussion.
Yeah.
How will things continue from then on out if this initial battle is a success for JoJo?
Right, because it certainly seems to be a success.
It is a success.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the question is, I would say, how optimistic is Dio about this time it will be different, you know?
Right. Will there be an epic battle, you know, until Judgment Day and trumpet sound?
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Or will he bide his time?
Right. And also, what will happen to the mask?
Yes, because that thing is still around.
Yeah, and it's probably in the castle, probably not on Dio's person.
Yeah.
Which
maybe.
Interesting to see.
Oh, maybe that's how they have Dio go away for a while. Dio survives with the mask's power or whatever, right? Then they destroy the mask. Dio loses his power, but he's still alive at this point, right? And then maybe he has to bide his time and figure out some new way to get power or something.
Right, he goes on his own hunt for the mask to find it back.
Right, and that can be a way for him to go out of the story for a while and then come back later.
All right, let's watch this episode and see what happens. Oh my gosh. Oh.
Really?
What the heck?
Well, that's bizarre, all right.
What?
Okay.
Oh. This guy. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Genius.
All right. Okay.
Whoa.
All right.
Whoa.
Cool.
Speedwagon doing it with Zeppeli's hat. Happiness.
Yes.
Oh, honeymoon in America.
And Speedwagon's still narrating like their wedding, basically.
Yeah. I love that he uses Zeppeli's hat.
Yep.
Oh, everyone.
Yeah.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
crap.
No.
That looks like a coffin.
Oh,
That's
crap.
a problem.
Oh, that's not good. Now he doesn't want to say anything.
Yeah.
Hey, they waving the Speedwagon. Yeah. No. Two lovebirds.
Yeah.
I get it. Oh, good grief. Stop taunting us with
this is just gonna...
This is gonna hurt.
There we go. Oh no, is it poisoned?
You have got to be kidding me. You have got to be kidding me.
Oh boy. Oh, there's a catch, all right.
Yeah. Oh. Oh my gosh.
Okay. Lord Genome is JoJo's reference too.
Oh wow. Oh crap. No, it's the wine.
Oh crap. Is
She's
Erina,
gonna become
yeah.
oh my gosh. Wow.
Well, this is a problem.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. Okay. Alright.
He's literally a head in a jar though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, of course.
But that means it's destined to fail.
Oh. Oh crap.
That's a problem.
Oh yeah, it hit an artery.
Uh-huh.
He's gonna bleed a lot.
Oh!
Oh no.
Oh, that's messed up.
Holy crap.
Okay. That's a problem. The land of opportunity, right?
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
He's gonna die. Unless he can hem on himself or something.
Or if his friends show up, but they don't have any reason to.
Stay back! Oh no!
Don't disobey the master.
Oh! It's what's going on?
Oh.
ワンチェンの体にジョジョは何かしたのだ。波紋はワンチェンの体を破壊せず、体組織の機能を狂わしたのか。ワンチェンは操られたように機械をがっしり掴んでいる。
Oh, the magnetic
Yeah.
functions of.
止めようとしているのは船の外輪スクリューシャフト。ゾンビの怪力ならシャフトの動きを止めることは可能。
Oh, the ship's gonna stop.
Well, yeah, and this is
And then it'll eventually blow.
right. Just like the mansion.
But they'll both die.
Right.
Oh, like the baby with the
Yeah.
mom.
Uh-huh.
You have to keep living. Yeah.
Right.
美しすぎます。見ず知らずの女性の赤ちゃんを救って避難しろとおっしゃるの。私にとってそれは残酷なる勇気。
It is.
私の最後の
Heroism isn't always nice and easy like that.
あの母親は子供をかばって死んでいる。僕の母もそうして
Yep, it's coming full circle.
Yeah.
あの子を連れて早く。ジョジョ
Dio. Just
What
hanging there
exactly
by
is
his
he gonna
head.
do?
しかしそれはこのディオも同じこと。俺は生きる。何が何でも生きる。
I can roll, dang it.
と共にな。
Yeah.
ゾンビども。
Oh, yeah. He can still call them.
Run, Erina.
そしてピストンを再稼働させろ。
Whoa. Oh! Oh, that's it.
爆
That's
発が始まったか。だがこのディオ、太陽から
yeah.
常に身を守ら
Otherwise
ね
you'll
ば
be
な
in
ら
real
ぬ宿
trouble,
命。
Dio.
大爆発程度の事態はすでに防御策を講
The
じてやる
coffin.
のよ。
Sure. No way. Is he actually gonna
よーく
succeed?
見てろ。ジョジョのやつが波紋を出せない今、俺は安心してその肉体を乗っ取れる。肉体よ。
He'll just bite his neck away.
Yes!
Oh!
Yes! That's how she's gonna survive. She's gonna get in the coffin.
君の言うように、僕らはやはり二人で一人だったのかもしれない。
Wow.
奇妙な友情すら感じるよ。今、二人の
What
運
the
命は完全
heck?
に一つになった。
The idea that even after all this, they're still brothers.
爆発で
Yeah.
消える。幸せに、エリナ。
Yeah, Erina needs to get in the coffin.
Get in the coffin, yeah.
話せ、ジョジョ
No.
話すんだ。考え直せ、ジョジョ。お前にも永遠をやろうではないか。
No, of course he
その
doesn't.
傷を治す。エリナと永遠を生きられるぞ、ジョジョ。ジョジョ。
He's dead.
こい
Is he
つ
really dead?
死んでいる。
Wow.
Holy crap.
They killed the main character.
They killed the main character on episode 9.
Whoa.
Holy. And Dio's machinations end up saving JoJo's descendants.
Whoa. Well, it also caused the death of
Well, yeah,
JoJo.
yeah, but
新しい生命にはきっと
Whoa. Inside of me.
それはまた
Oh, a
新た
new
な
adventure.
冒険の時代の始まりでもあった
wait, so are they saying like all those characters, the characters that are gone now?
Yeah. Oh, what? What? This is some Incan?
Is this
Crap.
like where the mask came from?
Maybe. Well, that's a way to end an episode.
That is, they killed off the main character.
They killed off the main character.
And
They killed off the villain
most likely. I
Right.
mean, there's no way he'd be able to survive the sunlight, right? Because the ship exploded. He's out at sea. What would he be able to do?
If the head sunk underwater long enough, it would delay the regeneration long enough.
Okay.
Maybe Dio would like slowly become, fully regrown as a human. Then he would come back up the water
Sure,
at
yes,
nighttime,
because-
and then he would swim until it was, sometime he would go down and die
Right,
again.
because as we know, unless the head is in a glass box on a stake, not moving, then the person could still be alive.
Right. Or just disintegration works fine.
Yeah,
as Boba Fett
disintegration
knows
works too. Yeah,
But this is JoJo, so no disintegrations.
right.
We need ambiguous deaths all the time, except
Yes.
for Jonathan freaking Joestar.
Now,
I
so-
have to say, his character is one of those characters that I generally don't like.
Me neither.
But every single time he did like something, relatively awesome, it was
it was
really awesome.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and
Rip,
I was
man. Rip
not the
Jade.
biggest fan of Erina. Now,
Oh,
I was
sure.
not the biggest fan of Erina, but I cared about her because Jonathan cared about her,
Yeah.
right? But I'm really curious to see. Okay, so now I love Wolf Children. and I know this isn't going to be wolf children.
Right.
But anytime I see a mom going off with a baby, basically alone.
2 babies.
Yeah, well, even more like wolf children then.
Oh my gosh, they're setting up the next Dio JoJo situation.
No,
because
no,
this kid that's saved from the boat is going to be the next Dio, and the one that's actually her kid.
I see what you're saying.
Do you see the parallels?
Oh, I totally see it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, but I see what you're saying with the wolf children aspect of having the mother that struggles to raise the kids under extraordinary circumstances.
I mean, I think we'll probably just get like a time skip, but...
Yeah, we kind of need to get a time skip because this seems to be a transition towards descendants, which I like because story-wise they're basically saying, hey guys, these 9 episodes are the prologue. Like they're like a mini arc in the beginning of the story.
Yes.
And JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is more like JoJo's Junior. So
sure. Well, and in a way, it still is the Bizarre Adventure of JoJo because it's the idea that the actions that he took in the smaller adventure that he had has ramifications beyond his lifetime.
Right. The Bizarre Adventure has not only ended, but also a new one has begun.
Right.
So this one that just ended is basically saying that was a really bizarre adventure.
Yeah.
He made friends along the way like Speedwagon and Poco and Zeppeli. Yep. And he had really crazy stuff happen to him with Dio and the Black Knights and also just the whole zombie thing in general.
Yeah.
But at least Aaron has survived. Dio is stopped. This is a lot more than him falling down a cliff. He is a severed head in a ship that exploded in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
Without anything to keep the sun from touching him.
With no allies, friends, or anything.
Right.
So he's probably stopped. But the question is he going to come back in 70 episodes or something like that?
Probably.
He could.
And the thing is, since he's a vampire, he's immortal. So
what does immortal vampire mean in the context of underwater survivability?
Well, that's a great question. But yeah, it's the idea that he could come back as a future villain, and it's like, oh, the ancient horror from my father's time, like.
Right, that would be crazy. I'm really curious as to where in America this story will be set. Because if we think about this timeline-wise, right? Mm-hmm. They said 1888?
Yes. Yep,
was it
that's
1888 when Jonathan died?
Yeah.
Okay. If we time skip 20 years, okay,
sure.
So we make this new character the same age-ish as JoJo was.
Uh-huh.
Would we get kind of a Prohibition era kind of gangsters, urban area, city kind of setting? Because that would be awesome.
A Bucano setting would be fantastic.
They
could also do a World War I setting. Because if you think about it, if it's 1888, if they go like 20 years, or
it'd be
somewhere around there.
1908, Jacob. World War I started in 1914.
Well, but it's closer than the Prohibition era.
It's close enough, but if you actually
yeah, they're not going to make him be.
Also, World War I takes place almost solely in Europe.
That's true. So, America didn't really do a whole.
Well,
lot.
It joined in 1916, but the point is that the story being set in America would be kind of lame to have them go to America and be like, oh, and immediately we go to Europe.
Yeah, that's true.
It would be a little bit weird. But I could see World War I coming into play, say, a few seasons down the line.
Sure.
That would be kind of cool.
Now, here's something that I'm curious about. Mm-hmm. So, with the overall style of JoJo,
yes,
right? Once I heard about them going to America, immediately I thought cowboys, right?
Ah, sure.
But they're going to be, if they do the 20-year time skip, that means they're going to be going into the 1900s, so that probably won't be as much of a thing.
Yeah.
So what exactly are they going to do stylistically with America?
That's what I said. It'll be Prohibition era.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the turn of the century.
And I would love that. I would absolutely love
that. Kind of the explosion of modernization from the Industrial Revolution that happened over the last, 30 years. And then once they start modernizing things with cars, people starting to learn how to use the airplane. It's basically the time of innovation and invention and modern industrial kind of transferring from a more agricultural age to a more industrial age for things. But it really depends on where they actually land. Because here's the other thing. They brought up that whole Incan type Mayan underground temple, which is interesting because when you look at the stone mask, now, I'm not some insanely good history buff, but when I looked at the mask, what origins did they give for it prior? They said like Egypt?
I think so.
It was something like that.
Yeah.
I think it was somewhere in the Middle East. But when they said that, I actually didn't agree with that. The whole stone mask kind of thing is not a very like Egyptian, at least if it was Egyptian. It's not a very Egyptian thing.
Sure.
It is actually a more Incan Mayan type thing. So what they could be hinting at actually is the whole true origin of the people that made stuff like this. Now, I don't think they're suggesting that Mayans and Egyptians had contact with each other, but there is the possibility that they're going to kind of, be a little bit loose with history and say that there was some kind of explorer that went to both, areas and brought the mask from, say, Central America over to the Middle East. That would be really interesting. But this also might be just a completely disconnected thing that they're just kind of hinting at. And it's more of a setup for the next arc. Rather than being directly connected to the mask. Because the mask is broken. The mask is destroyed.
Yes, the mask
I was really surprised that they decided, like, alright, and he takes a sledgehammer to the axe.
Yep.
They're very defined and definite with their destruction of the mask, but with Dio...
Right, it's always ambiguous.
Not as much.
So... And the fact that this is JoJo's bizarre adventure, I get the feeling it's going to be something that does not, like that lends more to the idea that I don't think they're necessarily going to resurrect the mask
for sure,
type of thing for
this could be the next new strange weird thing about the world that we end up discovering.
Sure,
because while the first one was more about kind of the Hamon and the kind of the Eastern influences from these Tibetan warriors essentially or monks of some kind.
However you want to call them.
There could be the new mysticism of things from the early Americas.
Sure.
As far as, kind of the things that have happened pre-Caucasians coming and settling here, there's a lot of rich history, a lot of very strange, very interesting history. And they can get into that whole mythology in this show moving forward, and maybe that's where there will be some cool kind of stylistic things. You'll have the blend of the industrial age or post-industrial age, United States America, and then you have the kind of Central America kind of more Mayan, Incan, strange kind of cultures kind of clashing, and it could provide some very interesting visuals.
All right,
I could see that being a thing also where the main character going forward in this has to leave their setting and maybe becomes an archaeologist.
Okay, yeah, that could be really cool.
Kind of like how wasn't JoJo an archaeologist?
JoJo was studying archaeology, I believe.
But that's interesting because Zeppeli was also an archaeologist.
Yes, so maybe that's something. Okay, yeah, maybe they're gonna follow up with that. I could totally see that happening.
Theme going forward, where all the main characters are archaeologists, would be just fine. It would also be interesting if they're like Erina tells her son, what did my father do? Well, he was an archaeologist. She brushes over all the fighting with the zombies and all that. And he's like, well, I want to be an archaeologist too.
Okay, yes, absolutely. I'm all for that happening. But Erina needs to tell her kid about Ripple and Hamon and all that. Like, I know she doesn't
I don't think she will.
It, but...
No. Think about it psychologically. She's gonna carry this grief with her. This was the cruel heroism that was mentioned.
Yes.
Also, in a way, JoJo's saving her life was that same kind of cruel heroism because she didn't get to die with him.
Yes.
But her saving someone's life will change, I would say, her character.
Yeah.
And also the future in a very interesting way.
It's the idea that probably the whole rest of this show, will be something that would not have happened without this, active, heroism.
Not just her being saved, of course, by JoJo, but her saving
the kid. Yeah.
That'll be interesting, though, if they do another half-brother kind of rivalry thing again.
Okay, yeah, they could totally do that. And they might. One of the things that I would really like to see, though, is, and they probably won't do this, because it would kind of, it's hard to do.
What won't they do in JoJo's?
Okay, yeah, that is a great point, Caleb. What won't they do? So here's what I would like to see. I don't know if they'll necessarily do it, but I would want to see.
Come on, just tell us.
JoJo bros, like bro Joes.
You mean dual main characters?
Dual main characters, yeah.
Joe Bros, yeah.
Joe
Bros Bizarre Adventure.
Yeah.
It actually has a nice ring to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so not like something goofy and dumb like twins, but like like legitimate kind of two brothers that are the main characters, and it's not like even necessarily that they're related to each other. It's just
but just
maybe
they're bros.
They both use Hamon, and they both are archaeologists. I could see them just doing it with being twin main characters, not twin. I mean, dual main characters, and one of them is a JoJo. And one of them is kind of a
Speedwagon?
Yeah, a Speedwagon type character. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, and that'd be really nice because the interactions between all the characters in these past 9 episodes were fantastic, particularly between JoJo and Dio. Yeah. But there wasn't a whole lot of connection between them, if that makes sense. The interactions were fantastic.
Yeah, they had a very limited amount of time to work
exactly.
with.
Because 9 episodes, and then they also had all the plot to move through and the fights and everything.
They could have done away with some of the Black Knight stuff in order to.
Yes, they could have. Yeah.
But that was essentially the beginning parts to the final fight with Dio. So there's really only 2 or 3 acts in this even 9 episodes.
Yeah, actually, I would say that's this story, the little bit of JoJo, is a great example of 3 acts.
Yeah,
because the first act, 3 episodes, a third of the runtime, and it is a very definitive, act 1.
Right.
And then the second one
act is basically them having to deal with Dio's minions. The final act is Dio himself
and the aftermath.
of that.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. Yeah. I mean, maybe he had this story in particular more planned out from the get-go.
Sure.
And the second story is the story he really wanted to.
Sure, and he's like, "Oh, this is gonna be the best twist ever. I'm gonna lead people on, and they're gonna be like, oh yeah, this is amazing, and then I'm gonna kill the main character, and then his son will be the the next main character."
I think you've come up with some ideas like this.
I have, and I've always wanted to see them actually be done. I was really excited in Attack on Titan when Eren died, because I thought Mikasa was gonna become the main character, but then of course Eren wasn't dead.
Oh my god, what a surprise. Yeah.
Who would it be? Eren, probably Eren.
No,
I never saw that coming.
The choice to have these 9 episodes be the prologue in this setting is an interesting one, but I think overall, when we look back on this, we're going to be so glad they decided to do it this way, because this character that they're bringing us up to, I'm hoping, but I'm almost absolutely sure of it, is going to be a much better character than Jonathan Joestar.
Right, because one of the things I'd say we can basically guarantee about JoJo's is that it won't do the same thing twice. It'll always...
not exactly.
Well, not exactly. Even if it does a very similar thing, in order to keep things bizarre and fresh and all that, it will put a new spin on it.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited to see what kind of spin they put on this new character.
Right, because JoJo, Jonathan, he was a very straight-laced character.
Yes.
And it got a little bit kind of, okay, here we go. But...
because it was very simple.
It was a very simple character, but he was consistent.
Yes.
I would love a slightly less consistent, way more fast and loose character,
I could see that happening because, okay, so, you mentioned the Prohibition era America, right?
Oh, that's a good point.
So that's gangsters, right? So
not as much
class and all that.
Exactly. Running
around
there
take Jonathan grew up in like proper,
prim and proper, yes.
Prim and proper, right? So that's the kind of
also
person
in the lap of luxury.
Also
Aaron
in the
is
lap
gonna
of luxury.
come over to America with nothing.
Yeah. Oh wow.
No, think
This
about
is
it.
Wolf Children.
Because
this is going to be amazing.
Because Jonathan was the heir.
Yep.
He was bringing all the wealth.
But their mansion was destroyed. The ship with all their stuff is gone. She probably could like send a message to Speedwagon and be like,
that's where I think
that
there could
happened.
be some redeeming aspects to this.
Speedwagon can be the awesome uncle.
He
could be the awesome
uncle. I didn't think about that.
So good.
Because he said, whatever you need, I'll come running in this episode.
Yep.
And they ended the episode with them very, very much in need.
Oh, yeah.
And Speedwagon would absolutely spend his life
He'd come over on
just
a speed
training
boat.
And...
he could teach the
new, that'd be so
like,
ironic.
JoJo Jr. about Hamon and stuff.
Because
even though he can't use it.
Because if Speedwagon can't even use Hamon, but he could teach it, it would be the funniest thing to watch the son basically kind of reject it because Speedwagon's kind of
actually.
Well, not only can he not actually use it, but he's kind of an idiot. Like,
but he's our idiot.
He's our idiot. Like he's not comic relief. It's just that he's so serious
he is comic
about
relief,
things.
but
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean, I could see the son being kind of a you're not my father.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Just generally being on the streets and all that stuff.
Hey, that's actually a very good point. It doesn't have to be a son. It could be
that would be
it could
amazing.
be a son, the adopted son essentially, and it could be a daughter. Now, now here's the thing.
Oh God. Oh no.
Here's the thing. No. I'm not thinking that.
Okay.
Jacob. I'm not thinking that.
Right.
I'm just saying because this is a show that came out, when it did. Mm-hmm. I think it's very unlikely that the main character going forward will be a female.
Probably, yeah.
I think I'm almost predisposed to thinking it's going to be a son because of kind of the way this show is.
Like this part of JoJo's would be the late 80s to early 90s.
Shonen, and Erina is literally the only female character thus far,
and she's not exactly the most strong, independent, capable young woman.
Well, she's not even really a character.
No,
I mean she's a caricature, but she's a caricature more than a character.
Which will be really cool to see that maybe change.
Yes, I would like to see if there's a time skip and Erina. Huge kind of maturity growth thing where she's actually now a very strong, takes care of herself and her kids woman who's had to basically survive for decades in whatever kind of crazy situation they end up in.
Putting up with all of Speedwagon's stuff.
If they go by currents, I don't know if the boat's blowing up really will help them in any way. But they'll probably naturally flow towards the Caribbean, which is closer to Central America. So they could land in Florida.
Okay. That would be something.
That's actually a very good point.
Well, it also
where do you think because actually Florida isn't very used as much. They generally tend to use Chicago, New York.
Exactly, because
places like that.
Right.
But I could see them doing this a little bit differently and having them land in a place like Florida.
Okay.
But where do you think the boat was going?
Because I think it's going to Chicago, New York.
I think it would almost 100% be going for New York.
Right.
Well, Chicago's not on a coast, Jacob.
Well, I don't know. Okay. See,
Americans and their geography skills.
See, I don't know these things or history.
I'll just make this note. I am the geography history expert here. He can do all the math, though. I can't do anything beyond basic multiplication. So,
we make a good team that way.
Exactly.
But so I think the real question with that is how far along the journey was it? So how close was it to America? Yeah, it was probably really early.
I would say we can assume halfway, just for convenience sake.
Yeah.
If they had traveled 1,500 miles already, there's almost no guarantee that they would even go all the way to the U.S.
Yeah.
But I would say for plot convenience, they're going to land in the U.S. It's just a question of where.
Yes.
And just because they land, say, in Chesapeake Bay, for instance.
Okay, now you're just showing off.
Yeah, but I mispronounced the name first, so it's fine.
Okay, fair enough.
They could end up, going, going to a bigger city or something like that.
Okay.
I would like to see them actually have a thing where it's more kind of typical hero's journey, almost a la Star Wars, where they end up having a farm.
Okay.
They're trying to take care of themselves. They live in the country. The kid is restless. He wants to leave.
Right.
He wants to be an adventurer like
And
his
maybe-
father.
and maybe
he wants
he-
to learn archaeology, and then he goes to the big city to go to a school.
Yes, exactly. That's the thing that I wanted to see, basically, because then they could still have a bit of maybe that naivete where he's still kind of his father's son.
Right.
But then he goes to the city, and then it's all rough there, and basically that...
Yeah, and he has to listen to Speedwagon finally. 'Cause
Yes.
Speedwagon will go with him because Speedwagon
That's
will
right.
always protect
oh my gosh.
JoJo's kid.
And if he's going to like school or work, or, wherever he's going, Speedwagon will be like the super emotional, like more emotional than Arena. Like they grow up so fast, That yes, absolutely. I need to see that.
Do you think any of the other characters that we've met in season 1 or arc 1 or
whatever it is exactly
will transition over to the West?
Possibly Poco.
Poco being older.
Yeah,
that's a good point. If Poco, is 20 years older,
because then he could be kind of like the big brother figure.
Yeah, he's
almost,
like 35 or something like that, or like 32.
I think we're at least going to see him at some point, even if it's not for very long.
Oh, that's maybe why this show is so popular, Jacob. This is a continuity show like Doctor Who.
Yes.
It rewards the more you've watched it, because things will recur, and stay internally consistent. And hey, just to bring that up, Jacob and I have had a lot of debates about Hamon in particular.
Oh,
and while it is kind of a shtick for just making up whatever power you need, I can smell the internal consistency with its own ridiculousness. So the show will be mostly consistent with its own rules.
Yeah.
As it makes
new
rules
ones
up.
and breaks previous,
It hasn't completely shattered any older
yeah,
rules.
I know, but it'll probably be one of those things where like a crab put in water, and you just sort of turn up the heat up slowly. Maybe that's a little bit dark, but the idea that there's going to come a point.
You are sick.
What? That's how you make. Anyways, point is,
That's so funny.
There's going to come a point, I think, maybe it's like episode 80 or something like that, where we look back, and even though it was bizarre at the beginning, we're gonna be like, what did we get ourselves into?
Yeah.
It's like night and day difference.
Yes, I agree. The night and day difference from when we've ended this show to where we are now, absolutely. I'm meaning that they will keep introducing new settings for their rules to be played with, rather than completely throwing away old rules.
No, they're not going to be completely throwing it away. It's going to go one step further beyond.
Do you think that this show will end up going to a place to where it's more modern eventually? Because I don't think they're going to do another... See, I don't think they're going to do a whole other story in 9 episodes.
No.
But they could.
They could. Even if they don't, though, 9 episodes, that means there's still over 100 episodes left, right? Because it's 116 now or something like that?
Something like that.
Something around there. So, if they spent 9 episodes on Jonathan, right? And then you have his kid. They could spend the whole rest of the story on that.
I don't think they would, though.
But I don't think they will.
I could see them spending 30 or 40 episodes, though.
Sure. That's... Yeah. Okay.
Maybe even more. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's just a question of...
Maybe
it's just
50...
a question of what type of show is this now? Because if it's not simply a... coming of age story for JoJo...
Right, but it's more like Doctor Who, where you have the, 9th Doctor, 10th Doctor, 11th Doctor, et cetera, et cetera.
I don't think it's going to be a thing where they'll just go down the line of just someone's son and someone's son and someone's son. But, having maybe Jonathan Joestar's bloodline, essentially, just with people that he affects, not just from the literal bloodline,
right? But
the people that are affected by him, kind of like how there's this adopted kid.
Yes,
what's going to be his or her story? So we don't even know the genders. We can't tell when they're babies.
But yeah, that's a great point. I would say that is a fantastic way to do Power of Friendship, It's
Oh,
basically
sure.
to say that, it's like, okay, it didn't solve everything. Jonathan still died, right?
Yeah.
But he had an effect on people. And
Yeah.
that's how they make it seem, so that it's like, okay, even though Jonathan's dead and he's, out of the story,
Right.
that still was an amazing thing that happened. His sacrifice and everything that he stood for, and the people that he impacted, you will get to see them, in turn influencing other people, maybe even the main character in this new story.
Sure. And
yeah.
then their influence into other people's lives will continue with the chain
Right.
reaction to
Yep.
where this is still all Jonathan Joestar's
Exactly.
bizarre
Yep.
adventure.
Yep.
And Dio's temptation towards having him be immortal is kind of a funny foreshadowing of saying, no, you actually are already immortal.
Good. That is good.
But, thank you. But you're not going to get it in the way that you'd expect of having literal
Right.
immortality.
He's
It's going to be the immortality of your actions and your persona.
In the same way that Dio lives on through others by sucking them dry,
Oh, yeah.
JoJo lives on through others by giving to them.
Yeah, by a way of lending energy, passing on his good vibes. I'm on fire. You could say I'm lit, like Hamon, sunlight, fire, energy. Yeah.
Yes, one might say that.
Anyhow, the episode standalone, though, I'd say it was like really good.
Yes, absolutely.
Like this was an ending that they knew was coming.
Yeah.
They
Yep,
planned
yep.
for it.
Uh-huh.
Every little story beat was just played out very well.
Yes.
I felt like I was watching kind of the finale for a dramatic play.
Yeah.
It was
And-
absurd. It was
Mm-hmm.
intense. The build up towards the point of everything going wrong was perfect.
Oh, it was fantastic.
It didn't go exactly how we expected.
Yep. That's one of the things that I really like happening in stories. When they basically get to what should be like the ending, what seems like the ending,
Right.
has all the grandiose, like climactic of the ending, except it's not the ending. Because
Yes.
a lot of the times that's why in
Yes.
trilogies we hate the second one so much. Because it's not the first one, it doesn't have all the new sparkles and everything, and it just feels like it's dead weight just to transition to the one where it all gets resolved.
At the very least, it's very difficult to do a good two-parter.
Right, they
part two
do
and the
exist,
third one.
but one of our favorites was we liked it so much because it felt like the end of the story.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
We're talking about Golden Sun, the second book of the Red Rising trilogy. If you,
Or I was talking about Emperor Strikes Back, but
oh well, okay,
no, that one actually didn't feel like the end. But
no,
yeah,
Yeah.
I know what you're saying. Also, props to them for choosing this type of story. Killing off the main character
Yeah.
is actually really tough.
yes,
I would say that they did it early enough in this regard that
it still works.
that it works. But I
Yeah.
can imagine them thinking, what if we did like a 20 episode first season?
right?
And
Maybe
we
that's why
drew it
they-
out a little bit more, and they're like,
Yeah,
no,
Yeah.
we don't want them to get too attached
Yep.
to JoJo.
And props to them for doing it in an uneven amount of time as far as like cores go.
oh, sure, they
Because
did.
this
do
was
it
9
at
episodes.
12.
They didn't do it at like, or even 11 or, or whatever. Because then it's at that point where you're like, okay, the ending's coming.
Well, no, this one set us up for the ending, though, Jacob. The prior episode to this felt like an ending.
Yes, the prior episode felt like an ending.
and
but it was
we
still
knew
at
that this was going to be some kind of aftermath episode.
Right. Well, I thought it was actually going to be some sort of transition into, the next step of the story, which is
Oh,
what it
we
was.
did
But I
kinda think
but I
that.
didn't
That's
expect
true.
it to be that much of like a, oh, no. It's not quite over, and we're going to make it very over. So it's not going to be...
Yeah.
It's not going to be Jonathan going on some new adventure. No, he's done.
Right.
And then there's going to be some new leg to the adventure.
Yeah. Now that things have opened up like this, we can really put on our speculative theory thinking caps and just go crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. At the same time, we are not going to be able to predict this show.
I don't know. I
Like-
feel like we're not going to be able to, but I feel like I'm getting more on the vein of what this show
Yeah,
is.
the kind of vibe
And
that it goes
as I
for.
get that intuitive, like,
Uh-huh.
kind of understanding
you're,
of a
you're
show,
starting to read its...
I am becoming one
Hamon.
with the Hamon.
Yeah.
I ripple this way, I ripple that way.
That-
I get the I'm getting the vibes of the show. I'm trying, Jacob. I'm trying.
Hey, they can't all be golden.
That's true. Yeah. Anyhow, the culmination of his story being this way, it is a passing of the torch.
Yes, absolutely.
And with that being the story, the question is, how will the torch be received?
Right, which makes me very excited for the next episode.
This next episode could be one of the greatest episodes we've seen thus far because it's building on the culmination of 9 previous episodes.
I get the feeling we might have that happen a lot, where each episode is like
the
culmination of a bunch of previous stuff that's the best one yet.
For sure.
Like,
but that is a good thing. I think that when a world builds itself, building wide first before building up is almost always a good idea.
Right.
I would say execution is important, and this story did flub a little bit in execution here and there.
Yeah, but it came out in the 80s. Like,
well, not only that, I can see the vision of this story's scope. The scope of this vision. The scope of this story's vision. I can speak.
Yes. And okay, by the way, we have very often used the term long-running shonen as a derogatory thing. Because we are tired of the only development being what kind of new powers do they get and what kind of new generic villains that are cardboard cutout copies of like previous ones and stuff that have no character show up for the heroes to fight.
And look at how much development happened in 9 episodes of this show.
And look at how much So I could get into this kind of long-running shonen. I'm just gonna say like.
But it doesn't even feel like a shonen because I think it's a generation or two behind us. Like I was born in 91, and I can tell that this is something made by people that thought fundamentally differently than any other kind of creator during my time growing up. Like, not even close. And even though the anime came out when, like 2011 or something like that.
Oh, right, but it's all just based on the original material. Yeah.
I'm kind of glad though that it did come out as an anime in 2011 or 2012.
Oh yeah, that way they could just get all the visuals and the style.
The visuals and the style were just accentuated so much more by the technology bits of nowadays.
Absolutely. Here we are talking about in the past tense. Like, isn't that incredible?
It is kind of incredible.
We're 9 episodes in, and we're already talking about it like, oh, that great thing that happened, when we are not even, 10% of the way through it.
Now, Jacob, you haven't seen really any of something like Doctor Who, right?
I've seen episodes here and there.
But not really anything.
But not really.
I would say that this is the same kind of feeling you get once you get past a really big, powerful moment in Doctor Who.
Okay.
This is that feeling where you're like, oh, this universe is so big.
Sure.
There's so much wacky stuff that's going to happen. I would say that this is completely different from Doctor Who in terms of style.
I would say so too.
Like in terms of form and function.
Yeah.
But I can feel that kind of
bigger on the inside
kind of thing.
And that's probably why everyone's so excited for us to watch it. I was like,
yes, it's happening.
Join us.
All right, guys. Well, if you want to see the next episode right now, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. We have early access options, which also gets you into our Discord.
Yeah.
We'd love to chat with you about anime and stories and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And get to know you. All right. We'll see you later, guys. But until then, with Semblance of Sanity, I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all
next time.